All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, and
At one Marcus Flowers.
we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.
Welcome back. It has been a very long time. Matter of fact, it has probably been October,
3 months,
November, December, going on almost 4 months. 3 months going on almost 4 months of 26 and Glencoe recording. If you do not know by now, I am your humble and gracious co-host. I go by the name of Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka call me what you want, just don't call me lazy. And I am joined by none other than my co-host,
the one, the only, Metro Meta, he who shall not be named, he who will rise above. It's good to be back in the studio, metaphorically speaking, and to be back in our bag.
So basically, I'm gonna give an explanation about why we have been gone these past few months. So with my real job, we were under an audit. And so we had like lawyers involved and stuff, and they basically said, get off of social media, try not to be public, try not to just try to keep a low profile on social media, and don't try to like sway left or the right or try to promote yourself. So basically, I just took it upon myself and just took it a step further and just stopped the podcast. Just not because. Not because it wasn't fun, but it just like not only was my job under audit, it just was like it was a lot of work. And if you've ever recorded a podcast or know the time and effort that it takes to do a podcast, or just the scheduling like guests and stuff, you know how it feels like. So and it was just good to take a break. I did not expect it to be that long. I promise you, a break that long will never happen again on the 26 and Glencoe Media Network. And so, but now we're back with Volume 3, Episode 23. This is our Jordan podcast, our Michael Jordan podcast of the Super Flow Bros. So, Morgan, you ready to hop right in?
Yeah, and also shout out to you guys who, stayed subscribed and continue to watch our videos, because even though we were on break, I kept track of some of the videos, and y'all have been watching, so thank you.
Yes, thank you for your continued support throughout everything that we do, from just like social media to podcast content, everything that we created. So we greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, so let's get to the front porch.
All right. Have you seen the cinematic classic that is Bad Boys for Life?
I did not go and see that.
Okay. What I need you to do after we're done recording, it's a Saturday night, just go ahead, see Bad Boys for Life. It is phenomenal. It is actually a generational film. I will go as far to say it is a generational defining film. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were in their bag. It was great to see those two cops again. Did you see the last two Bad Boy movies, Morgan?
I saw them, but I must have been so young. I don't remember them.
Okay, so the last Bad Boys came out in like 2003. And they always did the reruns, but yes, Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys for Life, we are going to have a spoiler pod on that one. So just stay tuned. But because it did so well on that Thursday, Sony Pictures has stated that Bad Boys 4 is already in the works. And if you saw Bad Boys for Life, you already know that, of course, it's in the works. So this is from Variety. Sony Pictures has launched early development of an untitled fourth Bad Boys movie, with Bad Boys for Life screenwriter Chris Brimmer returning to write the script. Brimmer has also signed to write National Treasure, blah, blah, blah. So, Bad Boys for Life from directors Adil El Arbi and Bala Fala has generated a mostly positive critical reception with the 74% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay, generated $141 million worldwide box office on a $19 million budget. And Bad Boys 2 was also directed by Bay. It grossed $270 million worldwide. I will say that Michael Bay not being a part of Bad Boys for Life is a godsend. We didn't have the stupid explosions. There wasn't any like misogynistic flashes when it came to the women. The story was solid. We got through the story. There wasn't too many cuts. Yeah, but no, definitely this is a great news for the franchise. And it's actually great for Will Smith to finally get a win in when it comes to the movies. Just because I don't know if you noticed this, Morgan, but Will Smith has been putting out some pretty bad movies for the past 10 years. Like,
I mean, yeah, but when you're as famous as him, I don't think he honestly needed to make good movies. He probably just wanted a check.
See, but I also think I just like watching his interviews, he seems like he is a thespian. He is a person who cares about his craft. And even if when you follow him on Instagram, he always cares about putting your best foot forward. And he just, but like his box office performance just was not that good. He had like After Earth and Aladdin and just a whole lot of mid. But I'm finally glad that Will Smith finally got a win when it came to Bad Boy. Much deserved. And it's great to see that this franchise is continuing. Hopefully we will not have to wait another 18 or so years for another sequel.
Yeah, I don't think they'll take that long to make it, hopefully, but this is the entertainment industry, and delays are just a part of the craft.
And we're also in a time where nostalgia is just really big, so I don't think they'll sit on a Bad Boy sequel for as long, just because we have like all the streaming services coming out with like old movies, like with like their old shows from like the 2000s and the 90s and the 80s and Disney Plus. So I don't think they're going to sit on something as critically as like publicly acclaimed as Bad Boy again.
Yeah.
All right, so from good black cinema to bad black cinema, Morgan, have you been keeping up with Tyler Perry?
I know people are mad at him on Twitter because they said he writes all his movies.
Okay, are you surprised about that?
No, it's Twitter. Twitter's mad about everything.
No, I mean, are you surprised about Tyler Perry writing his own movies?
No.
Okay, because Tyler Perry, have you been seeing? Well, to give it context, at the start of the year, Tyler Perry was like motivational purposes only, and he put like all the scripts of all the shows that he created and like he wrote on the table. And then people were like, yo, your name's the only one on it. And then he posted another picture of his writing room, and it was just him writing. And before we attack Tyler Perry, we definitely have to give props.
You attack Tyler Perry. We
definitely have to give him props for everything that he has done, because he does have his own studio in Atlanta. It's like 250. I could be wrong. It's a lot of acres, but
it was built on a Confederate monument.
Yeah, and no, so that's just a testament to like hard work. But I will say his latest. I actually was watching it before. I think I'm gonna do a podcast on it. I'm not too sure, but Tyler Perry's A Fall from Grace on Netflix, and I will say that you can tell this is a Tyler Perry film. If you just take off Tyler Perry's and just have A Fall from Grace, this is a very Tyler Perry film. You have the evil dark-skinned black guy. You have the helplessly in love woman whose success is tied to love. You have the great light-skinned black guy who's trying to save the day, and you have her girlfriends who are helping her out. And it's very typical in Tyler Perry fashion. And I linked to a an article from Zora on Medium, and it talks about, and it's written by Morgan Jenkins, and it talks about why she gave up on Tyler Perry. And if you have grown up in an African American household, in a black household, more than likely you have seen a Madea film, a Tyler Perry film, and it's basically the same type of the same formula every single time. And why? And when it comes to Tyler Perry, why fix something that isn't broken? But at the same time, as we see when we have like Issa Rae and we have like Lana Raitt, that we have all of these great black creatives who are out here, who are putting their content out, who are taking black cinema to the next level. It often feels like Tyler Perry, I don't want to say he doesn't, because he is, but he has his bread and butter, and he's always going to go to that. And it's really a remarkable thing when you think about it, because he has acclaimed a lot of money. He has like the success story, high school dropout, living in his car to a multimillionaire. And it's just like, we've seen the progress from Tyler Perry, from like his stage plays from around the country all the way to the big screen, to having his own production studio, which that should be like the goal of everybody, would be to own something of your own. That should be the goal of everybody. Even if it's not like a business, just to like own something that's in your name. And so for him to do all this while on like the backs of African Americans, of blacks, and kind of pushing out stereotypes that aren't necessarily true, but rings true to maybe him in his life, but that's not necessarily true to everyone. So it's quite the conundrum when it comes to Tyler Perry, because like Wale say, you want to rooting for everybody that's black, but it also comes at a cost when you're rooting for a person who sometimes hinders the culture of black people, just because when you're in office and you're like, and you are like challenged at the workplace, and you're like, oh, blah blah blah, I don't know if I could challenge you, just because you might go crazy like that guy I saw in the Tyler Perry movie.
I mean, Tyler Perry movies, they're Tyler Perry hasn't grown as an artist, but there's a lot of artists that don't grow as their as their careers go on. And of course we should push back on that, but of course you also run the risk of them growing into something you don't like or don't want. We get another Kanye West situation. But as far as like Tyler Perry and like him doing work, like, yeah, I get the idea of like, oh, you push like this narrative or blah, 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 blah. But there's a lot of African Americans that portray that. And I feel like he has the right to portray the community as he sees fit. And it's not like Tyler Perry doesn't help to work to dissuade those those ideals. Like even his studio, it was named after all not popular but successful African American artists. All of them have studios. Oprah has one. Even people who he has had problems with in the past, he recognized
like Spike
them.
Lee. I think Spike Lee has a spot on his studio as well. I completely agree. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just because you got to think about like even if he is profiting off of those stereotypes, his profit is helping more African Americans break through that glass ceiling and get into Hollywood. Like,
but the thing
Black
is,
Panther itself was filmed on that stage, on those stages.
You don't need to yell, but I will say because when it comes to Tyler Perry and himself is pushing his own, he doesn't necessarily consider himself an artist. He is at the point of his career where he is Tyler Perry, the business, and the content is just the vehicle for his business, and the production studios the vehicles for his business, because at the end of the day, he is the business. And he even said that himself, is that he doesn't care about the art as much just because he's a businessman now. And so I think that's also where kind of like the troubles come from, when like people who are younger. And it's great seeing where Tyler Perry has come from, because growing up we didn't really have black cinema in our face like that. Like, it was out there. Like, of course, there was like the Blade and like the Wesley Snipes films and the Will Smiths and all that. But to have like a predominantly black cast who like worships God, who praises the Lord, who we see go through struggles that oftentimes do happen in black families, that sometimes we just like to keep it in house. So for him to take that leap to become a multimillionaire, doing it his own way, is always commendable. But yes, I completely, if you haven't, make sure you check out the article by Morgan Jenkins. It's talking about her troubles with Tyler Perry. She does a better way of explaining it in a way that I ever could. So shout out to her. But yeah, make sure you check that out. Next up, my favorite video game of last year. Actually, my third favorite video game of last year is having.
What was your favorite?
Pokemon Sword and Shield. And so my third favorite video game, Mortal Kombat, is having an animated movie, and it's going to be called Scorpion's Revenge.
Now, everybody in the comment section, I would like you to be kind to Mr. Flowers over here. One Marcus Flowers. He does not know that what he is about to be excited for, there's a high chance is going to be awful.
No, I will say, no, I don't think it's going to be bad just because it's going to be animated. It's going to be voiced by the same people who voiced some of the characters in Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat X. So I think it's going to be great. Actually, let me read it. This is from an article in Polygon. It says, there's a Mortal Kombat animated film on the way, and Warner Brothers expects it to release before the end of June. The film is called Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. The voice cast stars Patrick Seats as Scorpion. Seats voiced Scorpion in Mortal Kombat X and is Taiga and Mamra in Cartoon Network's upcoming Thundercats War. Other casts include Joe McCall, Johnny Cage, Jennifer Carpenter as Sonya Blade, Jordan Rodriguez as Liu Kang, Steve Blum as Sub-Zero, and David B. Mitchell as Raiden. 2 producers with animated Batman experience are helming the project. Rick Morales, Batman vs. Two-Face, and Jim Craig, Batman Gotham by Gaslight. NetherRealm Studios, Ed Boon is aboard as creative consultant. So, and there's also live action Mortal Kombat that comes out next year. Not too excited for that. But I will say I'm very excited about the Mortal Kombat animated series film, just because it's going to be headed by people who have experience in animation, such as when you're talking about Batman Gotham by Gaslight. That is one of, in my opinion, that's one of animated Batman's best films to date. So very excited about this.
Yeah, we'll see. But the track record is not on your side, Marcus.
Well, we will find out. But moving on, in more animated news, Hank Azaria won't voice Apu anymore on The Simpsons. I think this is probably I'm kind of over the whole Apu and The Simpsons thing. Like, I don't want to say it's beating a dead horse, but like, I get where he's coming from. I get why the actor doesn't want to voice Apu. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is he's not going to voice Apu just because there was a documentary that came out in 2017 titled "The Problem with Apu," and it talks about people of Indian heritage in Hollywood and how Apu is a stereotype. And so it makes sense why he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the Simpsons. The fact that the Simpsons is still going,
right?
Honestly, is like this. What? Who has time to watch all of the Simpsons? Let's stop and like rewatch what we got now.
Right.
Like, it's so much. It is so much. Honestly, I feel like he's like happy that this happened. He's like, now I don't got to do this every day.
Yep. And his official statement is, I won't be doing the voice anymore. That's all we know. Unless there's some way to transition it to something, the Brockmire actor told reporters after the panel. for his IFC series Thursday at the Television Critics Association Winter Press Tour. Woo. What they're going to do with the character is their call. It's up to them. They haven't sorted that out yet. All we agreed on is that I won't do the voice anymore. Y'all have made the decision together. Y'all feel it was the right thing and good about it.
All right.
So yeah, in conclusion, like great. I would say this is a step in the right direction, but I do not know anybody who still watches The Simpsons actively.
Yeah, I don't know why this is a thing. On to the next one.
Next up, the box rapper Roddy Rich is a national treasure. Have you been following this series with Roddy Rich, Justin Bieber, and Selena Gomez?
I have not. I find it very difficult to keep track of the music industry, like as a whole. Like it's too like separated. I don't follow it a lot.
All right, so what was it? A few weeks ago, Justin Bieber, he came out with a new song called Yummy. I don't know if you've heard it. It's not that good, in my opinion. I don't know. Some people may like it. And he was like, yo, I want to get this #1 record. Y'all got to push this. Y'all got to let me get out. Y'all got to top me over Roddy Rich. And Roddy Rich responded and was like, yo, do that. Y'all support Justin Bieber. But Roddy Rich was like, he stayed at #1. Justin Bieber congratulated him. He was kind of salty, but whatever. Selena Gomez did the same thing, and she basically was on her Twitter, was like, yo, guys, help me get #1. And she actually achieved it. She did get the #1 album. I will say congrats to her. People say she has a great track record of albums. I've never heard a Selena Gomez song in my life. I probably never plan to.
I might listen to Selena Gomez. I like Selena Gomez. I watched her in Wizards of Waverly Place. I don't like her as much as a singer. I honestly wish I want to see her on the screen again. Like, I want to see her acting again. But I don't think that's ever happening.
Right. So, yeah, that's about it for the front porch. We're now in the living room. More streaming stuff, more streaming news to talk about. Spotify is in talks to buy The Ringer. Morgan, are you aware of what The Ringer is with Bill Simmons?
No, I do not. No,
okay, so Bill Simmons, he basically, when he left ESPN, he started The Ringer, and it was a website that has transformed into a podcast empire. It houses over 30 successful podcasts. And now Spotify is in talks to purchase it for about $15 million. And a good way that they are trying to do this is just because when it comes to streaming services and profit shares and splitting profit shares, when a song is streamed, you have to split it with the record company and like all the royalties and stuff like that. And that's less money in the streaming services' hands. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to just skip the middleman and just go directly to the source, which is The Ringer. And they're like, hey, we can set out a deal where we host your content exclusively. And so I think it is good. It is a good way to just tell where podcasting is going, just because podcasting is very big and it's only going to get bigger. And deals like this are going to continue to happen. So, yeah, shout out to Bill Simmons. Yeah, you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I just hope that it brings more diversity. Well, it probably won't. But I hope it will bring just more diversity into the podcasting space. I know as us as podcasters, we usually talk about news and stuff like that. But my favorite podcasts, honestly, are the more story-based ones, like Welcome to Night Vale, or the amazing podcast that was put on by Daybreak before it was canceled. Shout out to Daybreak. Y'all should stream that on Netflix. And so I just hope that it makes an opportunity for more heavily stylized, more just adding more production into the podcasting sphere as a whole.
Right. In more streaming news, have you heard of NBC's Peacock?
Yeah.
All right. So Kevin Hart, the comedian, serial entrepreneur, he has inked a multi-year deal with Peacock for his Laugh Out Loud network. So basically, it's another one of the Bill Simmons and the Ringer. So have you heard of the Laugh Out Loud network, Morgan?
No.
So basically, so what I know of the Laugh Out Loud network is called LOL. It's basically a streaming service where you pay like $9 a month and you get exclusive content from Kevin Hart and his team and everybody over there, such as the Red Plastic Cup Boys and other people in his camp. And it's exclusive, and he does like behind the scenes footage and all. It's basically a streaming service of the Kevin Hart. And so he has inked a multi-year deal with Peacock, and it's super good. Did you get a chance to watch his Netflix series Don't F This Up?
No, that was more of a documentary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like those as much.
I think
don't watch them.
I will say that you probably should give it a watch, just because it's very motivational. You can see how like completely insane he is, but like it's great. So Hart's deal was announced Thursday as part of Comcast investors' presentation to officially unveil the upcoming streaming service. In partnering with Peacock through my Laugh Out Loud network, we're able to bring our comedy and color proposition to an even broader audience. Their investment in Laugh Out Loud network takes us to the next level, furthering our mission to build the biggest comedy company in the world by amplifying diverse, hilarious comedic voices. So I'm thankful and appreciative for the opportunity. So they are investing into his Laugh Out Loud network. Makes a lot of sense. In conclusion, just shout out to Kevin Hart for working really hard.
I mean, that's kind of what he's good at.
Right. The Samsung Fold. Morgan, I figured you would be a fan of this just because you are team no iPhone. But the Samsung Galaxy Fold, which is the phone that folds, could be priced much more cheaper than we expected. So originally the price of the phone was about, do you remember, it was about like 14 to 22,000, 1,900. It was $1,900, $1,900 and it was going to be the first foldable phone, and there was a bendable display, but we're put off by the price, and it could cost less than half than what it did. So it could drop to nearly $860. Would you pay $860 for a phone? I feel like that's kind of not that bad.
I feel like we're already paying that.
Yeah, that's kind of not that bad when you think about it, like in your contract with carriers. Like, that's not that bad in my opinion. I don't think that's bad. I will say, but I will ask you this, Morgan. Do you think the Samsung Fold will change the way we view phones, or will it be just another model that Samsung has?
It depends on, and this is the biggest handhold for foldable phones and just foldable technology in general is going to be if it's going to be supported by apps and developers, or if it's going to have to be hardware based. Because if it comes out and it is hardware based, like the edge screens now on like YouTube and all that stuff, it will not catch on as fast because people will just be like, this is just a worse version of what I already have, and I'm just doing this to be bigger. But if you get people like YouTube and Netflix and Hulu to start supporting that stuff, like what Android did with picture-in-picture, I could definitely see this becoming at least a mainstay in technology and, being ripped off by Apple 5 years from now.
Right. We will see how it unfolds. But yeah, no, we'll definitely see what comes of this. I do think Samsung is in the right ballpark when it comes to foldable phones, just because even though it probably won't be the same, and you, Morgan, you probably don't remember this because you were younger, but the feeling of hanging up the phone by just shutting it in somebody's face is a feeling that can't be replicated today, and it felt so good to when you're in an argument, you're like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore, and you just slam the phone, just to have that feeling back. That's just something that is missed, and that Samsung could actually bring back. But we will see there. Next up, Instagram. Well, before we get into this, Morgan, are you a fan of IGTV?
No.
Okay, so I will say I do find IGTV interesting just because I think it like when it comes to just being a consumer, I like the content. So if the content is good, I'm going to click on it. Like regardless if it's just like a 60-second post or like a 3-minute post, I'm always click on it. But IG officially dropped the IG button, but only 1% downloaded the app. I'm gonna be 100. I did not even know IGTV had an app.
I didn't either.
So yeah, no, this is I will say this is revolutionary, but it's kind of not, just because I don't know. It just it's not that big of a deal to me. Only out of Instagram's 1 billion plus users, only 7 million have downloaded the standalone IG app in the 18 months since its launch, and now it's removing it. And so yeah, it launched. If you don't remember, it launched in June of 2018, and I think does IG own TikTok? I don't think so, right? No, they don't.
No. It's owned by, TikTok is owned by a Chinese company.
Right.
Because Republicans were mad a couple of months ago.
Have you, do you have a TikTok account?
No. It's too young.
So
it's too young.
I will say, my thing with TikTok would be, it is a Chinese account, so I'm kind of worried about that.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
But we'll see.
I don't really care about the China thing. Everybody's like, oh, they hurt their people. Oh, they're so oppressive. I'm like, America does half that stuff, and we're fine with their companies. It honestly doesn't matter to me.
Right. Okay, but yeah, so we will, we'll see. I will say it's a sad loss, but not really, just because IGTV just was not, it wasn't popping like that. So it makes sense. Like, okay, just get rid of it. If it doesn't work, pivot to something else. Moving on. So in Amazon is going to control every aspect of our lives in 5 years. Amazon may offer hand recognition payment to other stores. Morgan, does your phone have like a payment method, like an Apple Pay?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically Amazon's taking that to the next level. They're like, yo, just use your hand and you can make a payment. And it's a lot like, I don't know, did you watch that Black Mirror episode where it's like your like credit score is basically your social media account, and it shows like your likes and your dislikes and all of that, and you can't do certain activities without a certain star or without certain stars. It's like an Uber experience that you're judging, and we're basically getting closer to that. And yeah, how do you feel about this?
I mean, it's gonna move. Like, there's not really much we can do.
Right. So the Wall Street Journal sources say the company is developing hand-based checkout terminals that it would sell to coffee shops, fast food restaurants, and other stores that tend to have repeat customers, not just Whole Foods. So it's basically saying like your mom and pop stores that are miraculously still there. Maybe like your local grocery stores that aren't Whole Foods, probably like a Best Buy, maybe even a Walmart. So,
I mean, but this is basically the business model of Amazon. A majority of their money comes from them, like Amazon Web Services, where they create a system for people to use, and then they lend it out to different companies.
Right. So the system would reportedly start by linking your payment card to your hand, asking you to insert your old school plastic and scan your hand before you can pay using your hand alone. Amazon's cloud will store the data and might even tie it to Amazon.com spending to help target ads, although we can imagine some hesitation given that people are already concerned about creepy targeting. So I will say this is taking targeting ads to the next level. Like, I get it, but like I get like progression in just life, but it is like the next level.
Yeah.
But no, for sure. So, bottom line, how do you feel about Amazon hand recognition?
I don't see. Here's the thing: is I'm not fully sold that it will Because it just seems like they're trying to add more convenience, but I feel like they're not taking away enough convenience
Right.
for people to actually care about it.
Right.
Like being able to open your phone with your finger, that was convenient enough that people keep using it even to this day. But like, it's not that hard to put in 4 numbers when I enter. Like, I still have to put my credit card in, and then I just use my finger instead of like putting in 4 numbers. Like, that's a lot. And it sounds like it's a lot of setup for what is basically going to amount to maybe 2 seconds of convenience.
Right. Yeah, I don't get it, but I'm sure people will sign up for it. But yeah, no, that's it. Moving on, we are now in the kitchen. Very short kitchen today. The Houston Astros. Morgan, have you been following this at all?
The only thing I know about Astros is Astro World, Travis Scott / album.
Okay, the Houston Astros are a Major League Baseball team, and they are cheaters. As a dedicated, lifelong fan of the Colorado Rockies, I must say that the Houston Astros cheating is egregious. They should have their World Series title stripped from them. I do not understand why none of the players are being suspended or anything, because it's their fault too. But I'm going to break it down. So, allegations that the Houston Astros had stolen signs electronically during their 2017 World Series championship season surfaced in November. Jimmy O'Brien was sitting in his new apartment in Harlem, waiting for some Verizon workers to finish setting up his cable internet. So basically, the Astros were using cameras to steal signs. And if you are a fan of baseball, you know pitchers have certain signs that they use, and the Astros figured it out. And with those signs, they put buzzers on some of their players to know, like, yo, this is the type of pitch that's coming, and that's just cheat. That's straight up cheating. All the front office knew. Some of them have been suspended for a year. A guy who was signed with the New York Mets, he got fired, and it was crazy because he just got hired. So he basically got fired on his day off, which is granted. They have their draft picks have been suspended, so they don't have draft picks. I want to say for 2 to 3 years, and so yeah, no, and this championship has really hurt the legacies of I hate to say it, of Kershaw, unfortunately. So he still has tarnish on his name, but that shouldn't be there because they were cheating. I will say overall, just when it comes to baseball, as a fan of baseball, it kind of sucks to see something like this happen, just because I feel like just baseball as a sport is just not as popular as like football or basketball or soccer or tennis or anything like that, just because there's not the youth appeal. The money's there, but like the excitement isn't there. So for something like this for the Astros to do something like this, for this to be the most exciting thing that has happened in baseball, I want to say probably in like the last 5 years, I will say it's very disappointing as a fan. And for players to cheat and act like they're scot-free is very concerning to me, just because when you're like raised with like sports and extracurricular activities, you're taught be professional, be all this. So it's very heartbreaking to see.
They should bring fighting back to baseball. That's my take.
All right. Okay. All right. Speaking of fighting, this is releasing on Sunday. So Conor McGregor would have already fought Donald Cerrone on Saturday night. He is set to headline UFC. I think it's 247. Let me check for you. I don't want to give y'all the wrong number. To UFC 246. McGregor versus Cowboy. It is McGregor's first fight in the octagon since he lost to Nate Diaz back in August of 2017. The UFC has made it very abundantly clear that they do not care about Conor McGregor leaning towards racism, beating up old people, hurting his fellow fighters, hurting UFC employees. They say, hey, the bottom line is money. That's very unfortunate. Conor McGregor is a very talented fighter, but I kind of expected more from UFC, but at the same time, I did not, because it is combat fighting, and that's what you expect.
I mean, the whole Conor McGregor, him being like off the wall and this bad person is kind of what made him the like household name that he is today. So I'm not surprised when USC is starting to show a blind eye to such a marketable person.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, kind of like, once again, it sucks when your sport is based on integrity, but the bottom line is the dollar, and that's just whack. Next up, we are moving out of the kitchen. We're in the dining room. Morgan, I'm gonna let you head this off. How do you feel? Donald Trump is officially impeached. So for the rest of history, it will say Donald Trump impeached president.
That's a cute headline right there. Too bad it doesn't mean anything.
And so we'll see if it means anything. It's going towards the Senate trial today. Justice John Roberts will be presiding over it, and he may be the tie-breaking factor when it comes to the to Donald Trump.
We know he's not getting out of office.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, you, just because you're impeached doesn't mean you have to get out of office. You can, like, I think it was Reagan who resigned. I could be getting my presidents mixed up. But
do you believe Donald Trump is gonna resign?
No, if he gets impeached, he will. I actually could see him resigning, saying, "Yo, I just tried to help America, and I did, and this is how y'all repay me. Forget y'all, I'm out." I could see him doing a scenario like that. I also could see him doing a scenario where, such as like with the Iran strike, I could see him forcing the U.S. into a war so that he keeps his job as president. Just because we know wartime presidents never ever lose elections. So yeah, no, that's it's going to be interesting to see. He hired Ken Starr, who ignored the Baylor trial stuff, as his lawyer, so on his defense team. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, we will.
And I want you to hit this up because I'm kind of tired of it. I'm gonna let you start it off, and I'm gonna finish it.
So, Kanye West. My man Kanye West out here still wilding. So, fresh off the heels of his Jesus is King album with its superstar single, Just Like Chick-fil-A, Kanye West faces criticism for headlining an evangelical Christian event with an anti-LGBTQ religious leader. I mean, this Kanye West being Kanye West, he went out and he said, look, I did suffer the gay community. Now I get to be homophobic. Like, that is truly the man we made. And before anyone goes out in the streets and says Tyler Perry should have grown in these past few years, let us not forget the growth of Mr. Kanye West, going from George Bush doesn't care about black people to not caring about black people.
I will say that Kanye West doing this is not surprising to me, just because he does a lot of things for shock value. I don't know the mind of Kanye West, but just seeing his past actions is not very calculated, and he desperately wants to be accepted by a contingent of society that necessarily doesn't agree with how he was like raised or how like his like cultural background. So for him to do this isn't surprising. Once again, it does suck because as Kanye West, who wants to be in the fashion industry, who is in music, who is probably around a lot of LGBTQIA people. So for him to do this, it's basically a slap in their face, and it's a slap in the face to people who really who still believe in Kanye West, because I know there's still those people out there who think Kanye West is just going through a phase. But when clearly we have the past 3 or 4, we literally have the past 4 years of Kanye West acting out of character, and for Kanye West to be doing his Sunday service, for a man to be trying to exemplify who his God is, and God accepts everybody. And so it's just like for him to work with the homophobic preacher isn't surprising. But once again, I won't even say disappointing, just because at this point in my life, I am not a fan of Kanye West ever. So I don't really care that much about him as a person. But I will say it does suck for those people who still believe in him.
Yep. What's next up on this
grand
docket?
opening, grand closing. I got this. So, I'm talking about the Aaron Hernandez documentary that was on Netflix. Morgan, have you got a chance to watch it?
I do not watch documentaries.
Okay.
I got too much stuff on my docket.
You need to watch it.
To be watching that.
But Aaron Hernandez was a tight end for the New England Patriots. He hung himself in jail 2 days after he was acquitted of a double murder. And just watching his story, his father died when he was 16. His mother then got with his aunt's husband. And so his life was a lot of messed up. Add on top of that to the CTE from football, from playing football all his life. So he was a very troubled individual. I will say he does not get the benefit of the doubt from me, just because everybody has a choice in life to be good or bad. Just because somebody spills a drink on you doesn't mean you need to shoot them. Just because a person disagrees with you doesn't mean you need to kill them. And I will say that his fiance is a writer. She rode for Aaron Hernandez over her own flesh and blood, which is crazy. And in the video, after her sister found out that her boyfriend died, his fiance hugged his sister. So it's like, y'all are nuts over there. And I will say that Aaron Hernandez is a very interesting, I don't want to say human being because that's insensitive, but it's a very interesting case when it comes to like CTE or nurture versus nature, just because was he trying to pretend to be something that he wasn't. A lot of people are saying, even if you watch the doc, that just because he did all these super gangster things because he was gay. And it's like, I'm not rolling with that. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you have to hyper masculinity through yourself by killing people and showing you're a gangster and driving down to Florida and just shooting a guy because you don't like him anymore. I'm not going with hiding your sexuality either, but I will recommend it for your viewing pleasure. And that was grand opening, grand closing. Once again, thank you for listening. I am your host at One Marcus Flowers. Follow me on all social media platforms at One Marcus Flowers. Follow Morgan on all social media platforms at Metro Meta 26. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. We have a lot of content coming out real soon. We have, of course, you're listening to the Super Flow Bros. We have a Dust Off the Cartridge coming. We have a special edition. Podcast coming out. We have another podcast coming out. So we have a lot of content coming through the pipeline. Just keep a check. Morgan, do you have anything to add?
Stream Carol on Tuesday. Netflix.
All right, and that is it. Until next time, peace.
All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta and
At One Marcus Flowers.
And we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscribe. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.